Oh, Maria, Maria, how does your Vandas grow? Okay, so you guys already know that there are so many different ways that we can grow our Vanda orchids. And just depending on your conditions and your growth space is really going to determine exactly which is most appropriate for you. So in this episode, I'm going to show you all of the many ways and techniques I use to grow my Vanda orchids. And the most important thing to growing your Vanda orchids is understanding exactly their growth habit and what their requirements are. And one of the most important things to note is the fact that they indeed are water-loving plants. And also, to give them optimum care, you are going to have to water them as much as possible, at least once a day. But if you are not able to water your Vandas at least once a day, there are other techniques that can assist you in still growing and maintaining these beautiful, wonderful plants. And the way that I grow a majority of my Vandas is indeed bare-rooted. I love to grow my orchids this way because this is the most natural condition that is most similar to how they grow in the wild. Okay folks, and here they are. What you're seeing right now are all of these Vandas just growing bare-rooted, exposing all of their wonderful, plump, juicy roots right here. And I have to say, this is a great way to just expose such an ornamental factor of these orchids, and it really just is eye-catching and is just eye-popping to the viewer, at least for me. And that is one of the other reasons why I grow my orchids bare-rooted and fully exposed. And another reason why I do it this way, folks, is for the simple fact that yes, here in Florida we get lots and lots of rain during the rainy season. So because they are fully exposed, they are allowed to have their roots dried out rather quickly instead of having them in media that can possibly rot out these beautiful, gorgeous roots. So majority of my orchids, again, are bare-rooted, and as you can see, they are in these plastic containers. Also, you may see some of my Vandas in these wooden slat baskets as well, but again, majority of them have no medium at all. But for those that have a difficult time watering their Vanda at least once a day, this is another alternative that you can use, is actually having them potted up in a basket or some sort of container. Of course, potting them up in some form of media that's going to allow a lot of good air circulation, because again, we don't want any fungus growth and we don't want any rotting. So indeed, potting up your orchid is a great alternative. And right here, folks, this is another great way to display your orchid Vandas right here. As you can see, these two are mounted on some natural wooden log, and indeed giving them such an ornamental and natural appeal and quite a nice visual to the eye. And again, folks, for those of you that have such a difficult time in watering, here are some other fantastic ways that will assist you in growing these Vandas. And folks, what I have here is a Vanda that's in a container, a basket, that's also inside another container right here, which is filled up with water. And this is what you call a semi-water culture treatment that can also be used on a Vanda. And what I do in this particular case is I will actually soak this Vanda about twice a week, and I will allow it to soak for a couple of hours, and she is good to go. And as you can see, we can look at her roots. They look very good, and if we look at her foliage, indeed, also very healthy as well. Okay folks, and this technique right here are for your naughty little Vandaceous orchids that require so much moisture that it seems like no matter how many times you water it a day, they still want to look very mean and very bad, giving you the evil eye every time. So indeed folks, this is what I did with these orchids right here, and we're talking about your minis, your miniature Vandaceous orchids. You're gonna find that a lot of them want lots and lots and lots of water because of course their little roots will dry out so quickly. So this indeed is a great way that I can retain a lot of the needed moisture right within this container. And as you guys can see, I have water at the bottom and also at the bottom of this one. and the roots never touch the water, but of course the water is contained in here. The heat comes in there as well and allows a lot of the moisture to build up and be retained in these containers. So just a great way to provide moisture for all of these Vandas that require extra attention. And what I do with these orchids is I allow them to remain in these containers. Now, of course, from time to time, a day or two, I will allow them to breathe fresh, natural air, but then they will go right back in here, and I will change out this water about every 3 days. And also, as you guys know, I make these containers homemade out of soda bottles. That's right. And if you guys want to learn how to make that, you can also click on the link right here and it'll show you step by step. And another great thing about these semi-terrariums, they can also be used to rescue orchids as well. So yay for the terrarium method, and is also another great alternative. And right here, folks, we have some of my Vandaceous orchids. This is the Vanda teres. That is a vining Vanda orchid. So indeed, I have it right on my trellis and blooming so beautifully, I might add. And there you have it, folks. These are the many different ways that I use to grow my Vandas. And indeed, I hope you learned something new. And perhaps if your Vandas have not been doing so well, maybe you can try some of these different methods. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode of my Orchid Adventures. And of course, if you liked this video, please be sure to give it 2 thumbs up. And if you guys want to be updated to the latest and greatest news of my orchid adventures, please be sure to subscribe. And if you guys want to join me on my Facebook adventures as well, please be sure to go to My Orchid Adventures right on Facebook. And if you guys want to contact me via snail mail, please feel free to do so. And you could do that right here at the following address, right here. And again, I thank you guys so much for hanging out with me here at My Orchid Adventures. And indeed, stay tuned for more. And I think you guys already know, right? Of course you do, that I love you all.